Right, well, this week, the first illegal migrants moved into a former military site in Crowborough as part of the government's mission to end the use of expensive hotels. They just don't get it, do they? Later this morning, hundreds of protesters are expected to descend on the East Sussex town. Wealdon District Council has said that it's considering legal action against the decision to house illegal migrants in the former training camp. But Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood has vowed that the government would defend any legal challenge vigorously. Now, the thing is, they just don't get it, do they? It's not that we don't want the illegal migrants in the hotels. We just don't want them. We want them to stop the boats. I think they see this as a victory, that they're moving them into barracks, and therefore it's a good thing. And Shabana Mahmood seems very, I'm going to stop the use of hotels, as if it's some great achievement to move them somewhere else, like HMOs or to these barracks or places that are totally inappropriate. But what we would like to see, and if the government, if you are listening, is we don't want people roaming the streets. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they did before they came to the UK. Many of them, not all, but many have been proven to be criminals, rapists and all that kind of thing. I'm sure there's some very good people amongst them as well, and genuine refugees. But let's be honest, we don't know that. They haven't been vetted, they haven't been checked. They should not be allowed to roam. There is literally no country in this world. I couldn't go to America freely and just roam around. They'd want to know I'd need a visa, they'd want to know who I am, and they'd decide whether they let me in. There are more checks for people coming in legally than illegally. It is a shocker. Well, joining me now is the director of Crowborough Shield, Kim Bailey. Kim, absolutely astonishing. Bringing them in the dead of night, quite clear that they know they shouldn't really be doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing has just been completely underhanded. Shabana Mahmood, the Home Office, their behaviour has just been disgraceful. You know, if they were doing this lawfully and properly, then they wouldn't be kind of withholding disclosure. They wouldn't be sneaking them in under the cover of darkness. The whole thing is just an absolute shambles. And it just goes to show how dishonest this government is.
And we hear that potentially one of them has already escaped. I mean, it's just ridiculous. How do you feel, because being somebody who lives in Crowborough, having to deal with this now, what are your thoughts? What are your worries?
Well, I mean, the key thing is that nobody has spoken to any of the residents. No one has engaged. So, obviously, we've got Wealdon District Council, that's a partner organisation, and they've not engaged with this community. We've never seen them at any one of these protests. We've got some fantastic local councillors. They're here every week. But the leadership team, we've not seen them at all. They're not engaging at all, none of them. You've got the Home Office, same thing, not engaging. And that's the key thing here, is that no one has been engaged with. There's no risk assessments, no impact assessments. And Shabana Mahmood is just literally boasting and bragging about the fact that she's disrupting communities. And she's saying that she's just going to keep doing it, site after site. She might as well say, you know, we're going to disrupt community after community and you can do nothing about it. Well, hopefully we can with our judicial review.
What would you like to see happen then? You've got a judicial review. The outcome of that, what would you like to see?
I would like to see our cadets put back in the place where they should be, which is in this training centre, not a disused army barracks, as they keep saying it is. It's not a disused army barracks. It's a training centre for our cadets. It's the only thing for young people to do around here. So to have them placed back in their home, that's what I want to see. And I'd like to see this government get to grips with the root cause problem, not just keep moving, essentially, deck chairs on the Titanic just being moved around, because they're not achieving anything. They're saying that you want to get them out of the hotels, but actually what does it achieve by putting them into, whether they're disused army barracks or kicking cadets out? It's completely disproportionate. They need to get a grip on the root cause.
But also, they're going to be roaming the streets now. What are they going to do there? There's nothing really for them to do. I'm just concerned that when these people are there, what are they going to do?
Well, there is nothing for them to do. You know, this is a sleepy little town on the edge of a forest where you've got nothing but schools and churches. There's a few little shops in the main centre, but that's it. There isn't nothing for them to do. So what are they going to do? They're going to hang around parks or in groups or around the town centre, and that's just going to cause intimidation to the town. And, you know, you can hear from the children. They see all the social media and the news reports of these horrific crimes that keep taking place. That's all they see. So they are absolutely petrified. And whether that's, you know, a real, genuine fear or whether it's a perceived fear, whatever happens, that fear is real to these children and to the parents. And they're going to act accordingly, not letting their children walk home from school. The thing is, I mean, everywhere you look, it's just literally trees and forestry. And these children take these walks home. Parents are stopping that. So people's ways of life are being disrupted with no engagement from the council or from the Home Office to say, actually, this is what we're going to do to mitigate against this. There's nothing. There's no mitigations.
So how many have moved into the site so far that you know?
We don't know. I think we've seen about 5, 6, maybe a few more buses go in, but we don't know numbers. Again, no one's talking to us. We have no idea how many are on site at the moment.
I think it's just shocking. I don't think anyone should be let out. I don't see why people should be allowed to roam. I'd actually set up some sort of training school camps for people who are in those barracks, and they'd have to stay there, and everything would be set on there, and they could learn about British life and learn about
But they
something.
say they've got them. They say that they will be getting, I think it's behavioural classes and cultural awareness of how to, British values and things. But I don't think that's enough. And anyone that has, any kind of knowledge on cultural awareness and integration knows that the odd class is not going to achieve that. It's just a waste of taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
And it's just disgraceful.
I'd have them in there all day, all night. They'd be cooking for themselves. Everything would be provided so they could do it. They'd be cooking, cleaning, doing everything, and it'd be almost like they're in some sort of detention camp and they wouldn't be allowed to leave. Kim Bailey, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you. Kim
Thanks,
is
Anna.
the director of Crowborough Shield. I mean, it is just shocking, isn't it? Well, the Home Office said that robust safety and public protection safeguards were in place at Crowborough, along with specialist security on site. Well, that's if they stay on site, and 24/7 CCTV. All asylum seekers will have been screened against policing, criminality and immigration databases before arriving, it added. And to clarify, not all migrants or those seeking asylum have committed a criminal or sexual offence. That really isn't the point, though, but that is the statement.
Well, we're on the march with the protesters, the thousands of protesters that are here coming out against the use of the Crowborough training camp to house asylum seekers. We know the first of those illegal immigrants were moved into the camp this week under the cover of darkness. We believe around 3:30 in the morning. As you can see around us, thousands of people now marching into the town centre. One clear message from these people here in Crowborough is that Crowborough says no. Now, Ryan and Elliot, who are here on the protest, join us now. Why have you wanted to come and be here?
Hi guys, we just want to thank GB News for covering things like this, because this is real life, this is really the people. We've come down from Birmingham today, we're from raisethelcolours.org.uk. We've been on GB News, you've given us a voice. This is the people, these are normal working class families. We are fathers, brothers, husbands, and we've come together under the flag of our country to unify, show a bit of solidarity, a bit of patriotism, and to show that we will back up communities like this. We're in a lovely area of Crowborough, and they're going to be now the example of what our weak government, weaker borders are, and they're going to give a platform to men of fighting age that are coming into our communities like this, and we're coming to back up Crowborough today.
Now, the Home Secretary says that using military bases like this is better for the taxpayer, that it's better for the community, and that she wants to end the use of asylum hotels. Is she not right when she says that?
I completely disagree. I think what would be more appropriate is if these men of fighting age were not in the country in the first place. They're coming in on boats facilitated by the French government, the French military, our police force and our border force. They should not be here in the first place. I cannot get on a plane and go to America or any other country in the world without a passport and be invited in and given free accommodation. Irrespective of what the accommodation is, it shouldn't be happening in the first place. So, no, the idea would be to stop them at the border and to return them to their country of origin.
The Home Secretary should be ashamed of what's going on. These are the people of this country. These are the working class, normal people of this country that don't believe that our Home Secretary and our government are doing the job. The Home Secretary, you asked Elliot the question, the Home Secretary should be protecting our borders. We're an island and we're being invaded, and we've been invaded for the last 20 years. So I think, as you can see, in a winter month, this is unbelievable.
At raisethelcolours.org.uk, we are going to stop the boats ourselves. If the government won't do it, we are going to do it. We are going to take the job on, and we are going to do it for this country. And that is going to be happening very, very soon.
Boys, thank you so much for joining us today here on GB News. Of course, as you can see, you're all around us, thousands of people. This community is angry, of course. There was a lack of communication from the Home Office, from local authorities as to exactly when those asylum seekers were going to start to be moved in. Lots of people finding out for the first time the morning after the first ones arrived. And it's caused a lot of anxiety here in the town, but a lot of anger, a lot of concerns exactly around the safety of people now. We know the Home Office have said that it is a site with 24/7 security with a sign-in, sign-out procedure. We've seen for ourselves, there's ANPR cameras, there's 360 CCTV cameras that, of course, the Home Office is to try and protect this local community. But the trust, it's clear, as you can see all around us, the trust in the community for the politicians, for the Home Office, for the government has gone. But, of course, the Home Secretary says using military bases like this is a way to end the use of asylum hotels.
So this week, the first illegal migrants moved into a former military site in Crowborough. That was part of the government's mission to end the use of expensive hotels. Hundreds of protesters descended on the East Sussex town. Wealdon District Council has said that it's considering legal action against the decision to house the illegal migrants in the former training camp. But Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood has vowed that the government would defend any legal challenge vigorously. Really, seriously. Well, I'm joined now by Crowborough resident Ben Stevens. Ben, so they came in sort of at the dead of night, early morning, where they were hoping that nobody would be awake. Do we know how many arrived, and what more can you tell me?
Yeah, hi, Nana. I mean, the first busload was shipped in at 3:30 a.m. I mean, I live about 500 metres from the camp, so really was in the dead of night. Since then, we believe the number to have increased to just over 50. So feels like small numbers at the moment, but it is still early days, and we expect that to ramp up, very quickly. But of course, the Home Office and Wealdon District Council have communicated absolutely nothing to us. So it's anybody's guess as to what happens next. But I think we're pretty sure that more migrants and imminently.
Now, some people would say that, look, this is a good thing. They're no longer in the hotels, because obviously that was some sort of luxury that they were posting on social media and saying how lucky they were and encouraging others to come there. Do you think that perhaps the army barracks might start acting as a deterrent?
I don't believe so, no. I think, if you look at what is being provided to the migrants down at the camp, yeah, OK, it's not quite as nice as a four-star hotel, and I accept that. But, I don't think that's going to deter or put the migrants off. And how's that even going to be communicated back to those that choose to travel here illegally? So I genuinely do not believe that is going to be, to result in deterring migrants from coming here. No, I don't believe that.
So what would you like to see happening? Because this is worrying. They can roam around. There's basically nothing to do in Crowborough apart from, I don't know. What is there to do in Crowborough?
Well, not a lot. If you haven't, if you're not part of the community here, and this is the point, the camp is a revolving door. We keep hearing this number, 540 migrants, which is what will be the number at maximum capacity. But what we do know, and what we have been told, is that the migrants will be moved on, and they will only be there for a short time, and then they'll be moved on quite quickly. So we could expect to see well over in excess of 2,000 migrants across the course of a year. So there's absolutely zero opportunity for those to integrate into the local community. There is little to do here. So that question's still open. What will they do? We just don't know the answer to that, which is where a lot of the fears coming in the fact that they'll turn to crime, and it will be extremely disruptive and concerning for everyone here in the local community.
What if they came to that army barracks, but then they were not allowed to leave it? So it would be like a secured accommodation where they couldn't get out, they just have to stay there, and whatever they would do would be in there. Would that be more appealing to you?
Absolutely. For me personally, and I suspect I speak on behalf of lots of people within the community, that would be a far better option. Not ideal, but it would be a better option. And I think that would help the local community feel much more secure in that they're not roaming around with nothing to do. They're not working. They're not, as we've just said, there's nothing for them to do at all. So that is a concern. There is obviously a deeper issue here in the whole illegal migrant crisis in itself, but to have a secure location would absolutely make many of us feel much, much safer.
It's not actually a bad life, is it? You've come here on a dinghy, you've now been given somewhere to live in a nice, sleepy, leafy village where your food will be provided, you can pop into town whenever you feel like it, and it's kind of like when you were young and a baby in the womb, where you could just, when you came out, your parents looked after you and moved you here and moved you there. You literally have no cares at all, and there's kind of... I mean, a lot of us would like to go back to those times, do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's a great life being young. And I think if you're cared for to that extent, you've got, you know, no care or concern in the world. And, you know, for the rest of us, we've got to fund this and put up with the fear and the concern that comes with it. You know, I've lost the sale of my home. We were due to exchange, and the news was leaked, it broke. 3 days before we were due to exchange, the buyers pulled out, and I don't really blame them. We were meant to then buy a family home, which belonged to my grandfather. He was the third highest scoring pilot in the Battle of Britain, so he really was one of Churchill's few. And that whole dream has been crushed. You know, for financial reasons, that property is now no longer available. So we're stuck here. My estate agent said we would need to, you know, drop our asking price by over £100,000 and pray for a miracle. This happened back in October. So this is way before anyone even arrived on the site. So the financial and emotional and fear impact that it's having, not just on me, but everybody in this community is significant, really significant.
I'm sorry to hear that, Ben. I guess you probably, if it was the other way around, you'd do the same thing. Ben Stevens, really good to talk to you, yeah? He's a Crowborough resident joining me now. Thank you very much, Ben. Right, 14 minutes after 5 o'clock, the Home Office has said robust safety and public protection safeguards were in place at Crowborough, along with specialist security on site and 24/7 CCTV. All asylum seekers will have been screened against policing, criminality and immigration databases before arriving. It added to clarify not all migrants or those seeking asylum have committed a criminal or sexual offence. Not all of them. Just so you know. Right. Sorry, I was just joining me in the studio, Leila Cunningham and also Ed Gemmell. I'll get a brief comment from...
I mean, that's reassuring, isn't it? That not all of them, just some. But I spoke to a couple who live in Crowborough, and she told me, we moved there, it's off-grid, it's a lovely, quaint little town, we all know each other, and this is going to fundamentally change the way we live in our town. But also, you made a great point. Yeah, we don't want to pay for them in hotels. We don't want them in here, and full stop. It's not moving them from barracks to hotels is going to make it all better. We don't want some sexual offenders in our country that we don't have to have.
Well, they say that they've screened some of them anyway.
How do you screen?
I mean, it was a crazy comment, just the way you picked it up. Absolutely. I think that's completely madness, and the fact that we don't have enough secure information to know whether or not we're putting people into our communities that are dangerous. I think the wider picture is we need to deal with the immigration picture much more pragmatically on a wider scale and solve it.
Agreed. Right.